Welcome in everybody, XWeaverX. By the end of this video, you'll be able to set up a network ad blocker across your entire network. So that's going to block ads on your smartphones, your iPads, your TVs, your computers, laptop, anything you have connected to the internet, IoT, Internet of Things, is going to be blocked by this ad blocker. Now, not only is this going to be blocking ads for you, but it's also going to give you back some of your security and privacy in your own home network, which is so important because as the years go by, the less privacy we do have. So with that being said, let's hop right into the video. So heading over here to my computer, the things we need to get started, we need a Raspberry Pi. I'm using the 02W. This was only $15 at Micro Center. We also have a micro SD card, and then we have a micro USB with a power adapter. Now, you don't have to have the power adapter all in one. You can just have a micro USB cable with whatever charger block you have, and that will go ahead and power this as well. So now that we have everything to get started, the first thing you want to do is grab that micro SD card and plug it into your computer. We now have our micro SD card plugged into the computer. So the next thing we want to do is come to this website here. Now I'm going to have all these links down in my description so you can easily follow along. But we're going to come here to the PuTTY website, and we want to download PuTTY right here, the 64-bit. So I'm going to grab the putty.exe here and start download. Now I'm also going to come over here to the Raspberry Pi website, and this is the Pi imager that allows us to create the operating system for the Raspberry Pi. Now I'm on Windows, so I'm going to grab the Windows file here, but if you are on Apple, you can do the Mac OS here. And if you're running Linux with the distribution of Ubuntu, you can grab that here. But again, I'm on Windows, so I'm going to grab the Windows, and I'm going to hit start download. All right, now that I have both of these downloaded, the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and actually open up that Raspberry Pi imager. So we'll go to our downloads and click that. A user account control will pop up. Click yes. And then we're going to go through the installation. English, okay, next, I accept the terms, next, and we can create a desktop shortcut, that's fine, next. And then once this is finished, we're going to leave the box for launch Raspberry Pi imager ticked, and then hit finish. Right here, we want to go to choose device. Now again, I am using the Raspberry Pi 02W, so I'm going to click that. Operating system, I'm going to come over here to Raspberry Pi OS Other, and we want to grab the Raspberry Pi OS Lite. Now this is a lightweight operating system for the Raspberry Pi. It's perfect for the 02W, and then we're going to click storage here. Now you want to grab your micro SD wherever that's at on here. Mine's going to be right here, mounted as R, so I'll grab that, and then I'm going to click next. Now I'm going to hit edit settings. I'm going to click the box here, tick the box for set host name. I'm just going to leave this as raspberrypi.local, and then set username and password for this. I am going to set this as XWeaverX. You can set this for whatever you want, but for me, I'm going to just name it XWeaverX. And then I'm going to set a password. And now we're going to be using Wi-Fi because the 2W does not have an Ethernet built into the actual board itself. You could grab a micro USB to Ethernet adapter if you would rather use an Ethernet and hardwire it in. But for the scope of this video, we're going to be using Wi-Fi. So I'm going to toggle the box here. Now, do note that this does only run on the 2.4 gigahertz network, so make sure you go ahead and use your 2.4 gigahertz network. So in my case, it's going to be my Blissful Rain. I'm going to go ahead and put my password in as well. Make sure you have that correct. And then the wireless LAN country, I'm going to be here in the US, so let me go down here to the US. And then set local settings. I'm America, New York, and then I'll just leave that blank. And then come over here to services. It's very important we enable SSH. And then that should auto populate the use password authentication box. Make sure that is ticked. And then we're going to hit save. From here, we're going to go ahead and click yes. And then it says all existing data will be erased, so show you when to continue. Yes. Okay, so this is going to go ahead and format the drive for the Raspberry Pi to go ahead and run on. It's going to write the operating system as well. So this is going to go through writing, and then it's going to validate. So I'm just going to skip forward. It should say the write successful. This is the screen that we want to see. We can now remove the SD card. So we'll hit continue. We'll exit out of this. We're going to come down here to the bottom right, click the up arrow here, come over to the USB drive, click that, and then we're going to go ahead and safely remove our micro SD card. Now, it's always good practice to do this with any drives, that way we don't corrupt the data or ruin the drive. So with that drive being ejected, we're going to now go plug it into the Raspberry Pi. So I now have my micro SD card installed, and now we're going to go ahead and plug the power cable in. Now, I know this looks different from earlier in the video. It's because I have a case on it now, but this is the same Raspberry Pi. I'm going to plug my micro USB power into this adapter here, this port here, right next to the HDMI port. It's going to be this left one here. Now with the power cable plugged in, we should see a flashing green light. We want to let this go through the boot sequence, give it about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we're going to head back to the computer after 2 to 3 minutes. So now we're back over here at the computer. We're going to go ahead, hit the Windows key plus the X key at the same time, and then we're going to bring up Terminal Admin. User account control will pop up, click yes. Okay, from here we want to type in ipconfig space / and we want to put all. Now what we want to do is find our default gateway. It's going to be right here. Now that's going to be our router login. So we're going to go here up to the URL bar and then go ahead and paste that in. Now this is going to take you to your router to go ahead and log in. If you have not set this up, most likely the username is going to be admin and the password is going to be password. If you've already set it up, go ahead and enter in your credentials. Okay, so now I am logged into my router here, and what I want to do is I want to find the Raspberry Pi's IP address on my network. So for me, I'm going to go here to local network. This is going to be different depending on your router. Everyone's router is a little bit different, but you just want to find the DHCP client table, wherever that is on your router. So mine's local network, and then I'm going to click DHCP client table. So now I'm going to come over here to where it says Raspberry Pi, and I'm going to copy the IP address of my Raspberry Pi. I also want to take note of this MAC address as well. So I'm going to just open up a notepad. And then I'm going to paste in my IP address of my Raspberry Pi. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this MAC address as well. And go ahead and paste that in on my notepad as well. So let's do it like this. Okay, so now I have my IP address for the Raspberry Pi. I also have the MAC address of the Raspberry Pi. I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to close out of this. And now we want to go set that to a static IP address. So for me, it's going to be over here on configuration. And then I'm going to come down here to the DHCP reservation. So with my DHCP client table open here, I went ahead and pulled my notepad back up with the IP address and our MAC address of our Raspberry Pi. If your router does not have a client table like this to where you can tick the box and then scroll down and hit add client to create a static IP address, well, the way you would do that is you would enter the client name. So it's going to be a Raspberry Pi. And then I'm going to assign it the address of 105. You're just going to type in whatever your IP address was for that. And then I'm going to type in the MAC address as well, because we want to make sure we are reserving that as well. And then I'm going to hit add. So what I've just effectively done is set the Raspberry Pi to a static IP address. The reason we want to do this is because if there were to be a power outage or we were to lose our internet access, well, then we would lose the IP address that was leased to the Raspberry Pi. We don't want to lose that address, because then we're going to have to come back in here and reconfigure everything. So in layman terms, just make sure you set the static IP address, because it's going to save you a headache from a lot of reconfiguring in the future. So with our static IP address, we can move on to the next step. Make sure you save that. So now with everything saved, we're going to SSH. So I'm going to minimize this, and we are going to pull up the PuTTY.exe. And then from here, we want to type in that IP address of our Raspberry Pi. So this is why I did that notepad earlier. It just comes in handy here. So go ahead and copy that IP address and then drop it in here. And then we're going to go ahead and click open. You're just going to leave everything else at default and click open. Now you are going to get this message about they don't know if this is the actual guaranteed connection you're trying to make, because we haven't actually went through this connection just yet, you can go ahead and click accept, because we did just set up our Raspberry Pi. We know for sure that this is the exact IP address we are trying to connect to. So from here, you're going to type in whatever your host name was that you set up. For me, it was xweaverx. Yours is going to be whatever you set it at. And then the password, you're not going to be able to see your password as you're typing this, just so you know. But just go ahead and input it and then hit enter. After that, we should be successfully connected. You should have this in green text like I do here. And then from here, what we want to do is head over here to the website. Again, all these links are down in the description. And we want to grab this one-step automated install, pardon me. And then we'll go ahead and click right here to copy that line. That's going to copy it to the clipboard. And then we'll just right click in the SSH terminal and then hit enter. Now this is going to go through and install all the packages that we need for our Raspberry Pi here. So just let it do its thing. Once it's finished downloading, you should see this box pop up. This installer will transform your device into a network-wide ad blocker. Hit enter. The Pi-hole is free but powered by your donations. You can go ahead and hit enter again. The Pi-hole is a server, so it needs a static IP address to function properly. Important, if you've not already done so, you must ensure that this device has a static IP. Now, we already had this set up. We just did that before we did this. So go ahead and scroll over to continue with the arrow key and then hit the enter. With that, now we're going to go down to here, Cloudflare DNSEC, and hit OK. So now we're going to have this pop up, the Stephen Black's Unified Host List. This is just a domain of names that advertisers use. So we want to go ahead and click enter for yes. And then we also want to enable our query logging, hit yes for that. And then we can go ahead and leave it ticked here for 0 for show everything, because we do want to see everything. So go ahead and click continue. Now this is going to run through and finish this up, so just let it do its thing. And once everything is finished there, we're going to get a temporary password to log in. But what we're going to do is we're just going to hit the enter key for OK. So instead of using that temporary password we were just given, let's go ahead and set our password we want to use anytime we log into our Raspberry Pi. So to do so, we're going to type in sudo space pi-hole set password. And then for here, we can go ahead and put in our password. And then we have to go ahead and put that in one more time. Now also just know when you are putting this in, you're not going to be able to see what you're typing. So here we have new password set. So that was successfully set. And from here, we can just go ahead and type exit. And now what we want to do is pull up our notepad that has our Raspberry Pi IP address. Go ahead and copy that. And then we're going to head over here to the web browser. And we're going to type in that IP address. And then we're going to put / and type admin. This is going to bring us to our Pi-hole user interface here to log in. And then go ahead and put that password in that we just set. And log in. So now we're logged into the dashboard of our Pi-hole. And if we take a look over here, these are all the domains for advertisers that are being blocked. Over 107,000 are being blocked. If for whatever reason you have an error here upon logging in, come over here to the list, click there. And then go ahead, click the address. It's going to pop up all of the advertisers' domains that are being blocked. It's just going to show us these are all the ones that are being blocked. And then you can click X and then click dashboard, and that should fix it if you do have an error here. And if we take a look here, we have 0 total queries, and that's because things are not actually being blocked just yet. We have one final step to do so. We need to reroute all of our traffic to the Pi-hole. So now we're going to head right back over to our router, and logged into our router, we need to find where we can set up our DNS. Now mine's going to be under local network configuration. You just got to go through your different pages. It's going to be somewhere under your local network most likely, but just find wherever you can go ahead and set up a custom DNS. And then for the DNS, what you want to set is your actual Pi-hole address, so your Raspberry Pi. So for me, 192.168.1.105, and then I'm going to click save. So now that I have saved this, what this is effectively doing is redirecting all of my traffic on my whole network to the Raspberry Pi hole instead of my ISP's DNS. So basically it's going to filter out any type of ads that are on my network between all my IoTs, which is the Internet of Things, which is just a fancy way of saying your smartphone, your iPad, your TV, anything that connects to your network is an IoT. So that's going to filter out all the ads for us. And if we take a look here, we have 138 queries that were made. I have 8 active clients. The clients are just the number of devices that are connected to my internet right now. So that's going to be like my smart TV, my phone, my computer, etc. We have 5 queries that were blocked, so it's already blocked 5 queries from serving us ads. And to wrap the video up, I just wanted to show you that now I have 1,736 queries blocked with 22.9% percentage blocked. The reason this is not 100%, if you're wondering, is because I do use Firefox and I use the uBlock Origin as well. uBlock Origin is an excellent extension for Firefox, completely blocking all the ads on all the websites. And it's super, super good. If you're not using it, I'd highly recommend it. Now this number and this number would be a lot higher had I been using Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, but because I use Firefox with the uBlock Origin, this number is lower. But as you can see, it is still doing a job of blocking all these ads for me. And if I were to go in and add a more list, you can add different lists that you want that have been made by the community. And adding those lists here is going to give you more domains that you can blacklist to block to be a little bit more aggressive on the different ads. Now, that being said, that is the entirety of this video. If you found it useful, consider dropping a like and a sub on my channel. I really do appreciate it. And if you guys have any suggestions on different domain lists that you really like to use, go ahead and drop them down in the comments. I would love to check them out. But with that being said, as always, peace and prosper, much love. We'll catch you on the next one. Like.